G'day, welcome to my series of videos on occupational stress. I'm Dr. Ben Searle, an organisational psychologist and senior lecturer at Macquarie University, and I'm here to tell you about what stress is, what causes it, and what managers can do about it. This video has been produced as part of National Psychology Week, which is an initiative of the Australian Psychological Society in association with the College of Organisational Psychologists. Stress. In previous videos I've talked about what stress is, why it's a problem, and what causes it. In this video I'm going to briefly discuss some things that you, as a manager, can do to reduce the stress of your team. A good first step as a manager is to get to know your team well. The better you know them, the more easily you'll be able to recognise signs of stress amongst your team, rather than misinterpreting their actions. Some people get angry when they get stressed. Other people get very worried. Some people avoid you. Rather than characterising this as being a permanent quality of that person, start to recognise what patterns emerge in your team when they get stressed, so that you'll be able to detect it and see if you can offer some help when these problems start to emerge. Also, the better you know your team, the better you will understand their personal values, needs and goals. This can be very useful when you're trying to allocate tasks to team members. Now that doesn't always mean giving the most work to the most ambitious employee. Rather, it means finding ways to challenge those people who aren't so easily motivated, or finding ways to facilitate people's ambitions that don't come at a cost to the rest of the team. These are things you have to know your team well to be able to do effectively. What else can you do? As I've said before, stress occurs when people encounter lots of demands at work and when they don't have enough resources. So ideally, what you should be doing as a manager is trying to reduce the demands and increase the resources. But this is often hard to do. I'm going to make a few suggestions as to how you might be able to do it. As I've discussed before, there are a whole lot of different demands occurring in a workplace, and these are just a few examples. If you're looking at somewhere to start, I would encourage you to look for things that make people feel threatened in a work environment. Creating a safe, secure, friendly work environment can make a huge difference. Now, sometimes this comes at a cost, but it's often a better move than leaving threat in the environment. For example, the benefits associated with employing a talented but aggressive employee really outweigh the costs. If you've dealt with the threats, or there aren't many in the environment, or hopefully not, if you can't do anything about the threats in the environment, your next target should probably be hindrances. Is there anything in the work environment that's preventing people from doing their jobs as well as they would like? If there are inefficient processes or supply chain problems or other things that are consistently impacting on your team, it should be your responsibility as a manager to try and do something about those, even if that's not actually your job. Anything that you can do to reduce the hindrances in the environment takes a lot of stress out of your team and enables them to focus on achieving things well. As for the challenges in the environment, it is possible that an increase in challenges can lead to motivational benefits. It can reduce stress levels. But that's a little bit tricky because challenges can increase stress levels as well. Increasing people's challenges can backfire. So as I said earlier, it's important that you understand the individual employee first, seeing if you can match the challenges that you're giving them to the needs that they have. No one appreciates challenges in an environment that's full of hindrances and threats. Okay, that's dealing with the demand side of the equation, but another thing you can do, of course, as a manager is to try to maintain and extend the resources available to employees. Do your team members have sufficient opportunities to develop their skills? Do they have enough control over their work? Do they participate enough in the decisions that affect them? Do they get the support they need from you and from the rest of the team? And even if they do get that, do they get it willingly? Do they get it when it's needed rather than getting it grudgingly and too late? Are people recognised and rewarded for the contributions they make? Not just for the major successes. Organisations can do that reasonably well. But often the smaller things that people do, like helping others, those sort of things should also be recognised in a way that people can see that they are making a meaningful contribution. So there are a lot of demands you could be decreasing, a lot of resources you could be increasing. But where do you start? What is going to work well for your organisation, for your team? Beyond the recommendations I've given, there are some other ways of identifying where should you pinpoint your efforts, where should you direct your attention. So some sort of formal assessment can be really valuable. There are ways to assess how serious the stress problem is in your work area. There are ways to assess what sort of problems are the greatest, what sort of demands are present, what sort of resources are lacking. There are even ways to compare across different departments or different regions. Formal assessment of occupational stress works like a doctor diagnosing an illness. Information about the right signs and symptoms can tell a qualified professional what is the underlying problem, so that he or she can recommend an evidence-based solution. And the most qualified professionals for looking at this and making appropriate diagnoses and recommendations are organisational psychologists. Just as psychologists are experts in human thinking and behaviour, organisational psychologists are those psychologists who are experts on people in the workplace. Organisational psychologists use scientific theories, methods and evidence to help people and organisations. Managers who want to reduce stress need to get to know their team really well so that they can recognise signs and symptoms of stress, and so they know how to better support people's needs and goals. Beyond that, reducing demands and increasing resources. If possible, trying to target the reduction of demands and the increase in resources according to where the issues are. And one of the best ways of doing that is getting some kind of formal assessment by an organisational psychologist. For more information, there are some work resources websites about managing occupational stress and why organisations should be investing more in it. If you want to get hold of organisational psychologists or find out more about organisational psychology, go to the College of Organisational Psychology website here. If you've enjoyed these videos, please subscribe. I'll continue to make them. And if you want to get hold of me, contact me through these links or through Macquarie University. Thanks for watching Occupational Stress Tips for Managers. I hope you come back again soon.